Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Stephanie D'Angelo and I am the founder of D'Angelo Law PLLC. I upload videos every week, so make sure you're subscribed. Turn your post notifications on by hitting that bell button. That way you are notified every time I upload a new video. Today I'm going to be talking about the major updates with USCIS due to COVID-19. I'm interrupting this video to bring you breaking news. I'm filming this at 11:46 p.m. Monday night, April 20th, 2020. I'm sure many of you have already heard that at 10:06 p.m. earlier this evening, President Donald Trump posted a tweet regarding signing an executive order to temporarily suspend immigration into the United States due to coronavirus. Now, I originally filmed this video, the top major updates to USCIS due to COVID-19 a few days ago, but I wanted to make sure to include this update because, of course, it is absolutely relevant to the major changes to USCIS due to the pandemic. In his tweet, the president says, "In light of the attack from the invisible enemy, as well as the need to protect the jobs of our great American citizens, I will be signing an executive order to temporarily suspend immigration into the United States." Now, no official details have been released. No one is 100% sure what that executive order is going to state, but I know a bunch of people are going to be freaking out. It's only been an hour and a half since he's posted that tweet, and I've already received several emails from my clients. I don't want anyone to panic as of yet. We don't know the details of the executive order. Once we do find out the details, I will definitely make another video updating you all. But as of right now, since no details have been released, I just wanted to bring you that update. And remember, I will be updating you further once the official details are released. Now let's get back to the original video. Today I'm going to be talking about the major updates with USCIS due to COVID-19. Mainly the suspension of in-person services at local USCIS field offices, the premium processing suspension, the flexibility in responding to requests for evidences, and waivers of the green card interview. If you want to learn more about these updates in detail, please keep watching. Let's talk about the suspension of in-person services. USCIS local field offices are temporarily closed until May 4th unless the closure is extended further. Interview appointments and biometrics appointments are automatically being rescheduled. So if you had an interview appointment or a biometrics appointment scheduled during the time that the offices have been closed, USCIS will automatically reschedule it for you and they'll send you a new appointment notice in the mail. So just be patient. They are still automatically rescheduling it for you. So hopefully on May 4th, the offices will reopen and you will be allowed to attend your interview and not delay your process any further. Now that's applicable to interviews and biometrics appointments. They will be automatically rescheduled. However, if you had scheduled an InfoPass appointment, those will not be automatically rescheduled. You will have to contact USCIS again and schedule a new InfoPass appointment. Just because the local USCIS field offices are temporarily closed, that does not mean that you cannot submit your applications and petitions. The service centers are still open. Service centers are the ones that are actually receiving and processing your applications. They are still able to receive your packages and process your applications. Now, I know the temporary suspension of in-person services can be frustrating because if you're unable to attend your interview or your biometrics, it is delaying your process. For example, I know that initial employment authorization documents and travel documents cannot be issued unless they have your biometrics on file. If you're unable to provide your biometrics, then of course it's taking longer for you to receive your employment authorization or travel document. Typically, even those applicants who are filing for employment authorization document renewals have to attend a new biometrics appointment and provide their biometrics once again. However, in response to the temporary closures of the application support centers, USCIS did announce that any applicant for an EAD renewal who had their biometrics appointment scheduled for after March 18th, USCIS will reuse their previously submitted biometrics in order to issue that extension for their employment authorization document. Initial applicants still have to wait for their biometrics appointment to be rescheduled and attend those biometrics appointments. However, those applicants that are only filing for an employment authorization document renewal, USCIS will reuse previously submitted biometrics in order to issue the extension. This will remain in effect until application support centers are reopened to the public. Let's talk about the premium processing suspension. As many of you know, certain I-129 and I-140 petitions are eligible for premium processing. Premium processing is when USCIS issues some sort of response on your application or petition within 15 days of receiving it. Whether it's an immediate approval, a request for evidence, or a notice of intent to deny, you will get some sort of response on your application or petition within the 15 days. But remember, this is only applicable to certain I-129 petitions and I-140. In order to request premium processing, you would need to submit the form I-907 with the filing fee of $1,440. As of March 20th, USCIS has suspended all premium processing services. So if you did submit a premium processing request as of that date, USCIS will reject the form and send you back the filing fee of the $1,440. They have not issued a statement on when premium processing will begin again. So keep that in mind if you were thinking about filing an extraordinary ability petition, for example, or an L1 or H1B, anything with the I-129 form that is eligible for premium processing. You will not be allowed at this moment to request premium processing. You will have to wait until USCIS issues a new alert that they are accepting premium processing once again. Let's talk about the new flexibility with responding to requests for evidences and notices of intent to deny. When USCIS issues a request for evidence or a notice of intent to deny, they allow you a certain amount of time in order to respond to that request. RFEs, it's typically about 87 days, and with notices of intent to deny, I believe they give you about a month. Typically, if you fail to respond by the deadline for either of those requests, then USCIS will make a decision on your case, and typically it's a denial if you fail to provide the requested information. In response to COVID, USCIS has stated that if they have issued a request for evidence or a notice of intent to deny on your case, and the issuance date of that request is between March 1st and May 1st of this year, then any response submitted within 60 days of the request deadline will be considered. What does that mean? So I mentioned that when they issue a request, you have a certain deadline, be it 87 days from the date of issuance or 30 days from the date of issuance. You do have a strict deadline. If you're unable to answer the request by that deadline and you answer it within 60 days after that initial due date, then USCIS will consider it before any action is taken. So you have the original deadline, plus you have no more than an additional 60 days from that deadline to respond to that request. This alert regarding requests for evidences and notice of intent to deny is also applied to notices of intent to revoke and notices of intent to terminate regional investment centers. I want to caution you because USCIS's language does say that they will consider any delayed response. However, you should still try to meet the deadline. I personally believe that you would need a specific reason, a valid reason as to why you couldn't meet the initial deadline and you needed to utilize the extra time. For example, if there was a document requested that you could only obtain in person and the location in which you had to obtain the document was closed due to the pandemic. So something like that. So definitely try to meet the initial deadline and provide your response by the date they say. And if you can't meet the deadline, then obviously give a valid explanation as to why you couldn't meet the deadline and you needed the extra time. All right, let's talk about the waiver of green card interviews. Effective October 1st, 2017, USCIS began to require in-person interviews for all adjustment of status applicants. Before that time, they weren't requiring in-person interviews for the majority of employment-based petitions. They were primarily requiring in-person interviews for adjustment of status applicants for family-based petitions to make sure there was no fraud. However, October 1st, 2017, they did require it for every adjustment of status applicant, and that policy currently remains in effect today. And in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, USCIS has not issued an alert or a new policy saying that they're officially waiving green card interviews. However, we have been seeing that certain clients have been receiving their green cards in the mail despite not attending an adjustment of status interview. Before coronavirus, if you had an approved immigrant petition and adjustment of status application pending, you would have had to submit a medical exam, and then your medical exam is valid for 1 year. By the time you would have to attend the interview, if your medical exams were already expired, USCIS would have issued a notice to update your medicals and bring them with you to the interview. Now what we're seeing are clients receiving requests for evidences for updated medical exams to be submitted to the National Benefit Center, as opposed to a notice notifying them to bring it with them to the interview. This seems to be an effort to reduce the backlog that has been further amplified by the suspension of in-person services due to the pandemic. So that is good for those of you who are currently awaiting your adjustment of status interview. You might be one of the lucky ones who just received your green card in the mail and don't have to attend the interview. So those are the major updates regarding the suspension of in-person services, the premium processing suspension, the new flexibility with respect to responding to requests for evidences and notices of intent to deny, as well as waivers of green card interviews for certain applicants. Also, just a random thought, has anyone received notices from USCIS in the mail in envelopes that haven't been sealed? I've been notified by several of my clients that they've been receiving receipt notices and the envelopes aren't sealed. I've actually seen a few myself. Please let me know in the comments if this is also happening to you. I'm just curious to see how common this actually is. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or any requests for future videos, please leave them in the comments. I upload videos every week, so make sure you're subscribed, turn your post notifications on. That way you can be notified every time I upload a new video.